It was the kind of place you'd only stumble upon if you were really looking for silence, the kind that feels heavy rather than peaceful. I was on a solo coastal road trip in 2019 when I came across the old Hemsley Point Lighthouse. It stood crooked at the edge of a jagged cliff, salt-worn and leaning slightly like it had grown tired of standing. The small gift shop was closed, but a handwritten sign taped to the glass read, "Tour yourself, watch your step." So I did. Inside, the air was stale, damp, and carried a faint scent of rust and something older like wet paper. The walls were tight, and the cast-iron staircase groaned with each step I took upward. Dust clung to glass panes like fog frozen in time. Each level was marked with rusting plaques about maritime history and the last operational days of the lighthouse, which had been decommissioned after a series of mechanical failures in the early 60s. I wasn't expecting much, just some old relics and maybe a good view from the top. But something odd caught my eye on the third level. Behind a rusted oil lamp display, one of the bricks in the wall looked slightly off-colored, as if recently disturbed. Curiosity got the better of me, and I managed to loosen it with the edge of my keys. Behind it was a tightly wrapped oilskin bundle, wedged in with old straw. Inside that, a journal thin, water-warped, and reeking of mildew. The handwriting was rough and hurried. It belonged to the last keeper, Edgar Mallory, who'd manned the lighthouse in 1963. The early entries were mundane weather reports, oil usage, fishing boats spotted. But about 2 weeks in, the tone shifted. He began documenting lights at sea that moved against the current and came closer each night. He wrote of voices in the fog whispers he couldn't place. He even claimed he saw a second man inside the lighthouse at dawn, standing at the base of the stairs, silent and staring, and gone the next blink. The last entry chilled me. The fog never lifts. Last night, it came through the cracks. Not mist, not sea air. It whispered through the floorboards. It knew my name. Then, nothing, just a blot of ink, like his hand had jerked away mid-sentence. That night, I booked a room in the nearest inn, just to get off the cliffs. But as I lay there, the sound of waves was overtaken by a slow, deliberate knock 3 times from the walls of my room, like someone politely asking to come in. In 2016, I took a contract gig with a small marine maintenance company based out of Maine. Most of the work was standard repairs, system checks, sometimes long night shifts at remote coastal outposts. Nothing too dramatic. But one particular assignment still messes with my head to this day. It was a 3-night job at an isolated lighthouse on Blackridge Isle, just offshore. The lighthouse hadn't been fully decommissioned, but its automated light kept shorting out. And the Coast Guard needed someone on site overnight until their tech crew could get there. I was the only one on the team without family plans that week, so they gave me the shift 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., just monitoring the systems. Blackridge was barren. No trees, just jagged rock, gulls, and that tall, faded lighthouse rising like a tooth from the stone. I arrived the first evening just before dusk, ferried over by a grumpy old guy who didn't say much except, "Don't go upstairs if you hear anything. Just leave it alone." I laughed, thinking it was some tired old sailor superstition. He didn't laugh back. The first night was calm, just wind, waves, and the occasional screech of a gull outside. I walked the perimeter, checked the breakers, and set up in the control room with a thermos of coffee and a small monitor showing a live feed from 3 security cameras. One at the base of the tower, one halfway up the stairs, and one just below the lantern room at the top. Around 3 I noticed movement on the middle stairwell cam. Just a quick flicker like someone passing through the frame. I assumed it was a glitch, maybe a moth too close to the lens. But a few minutes later, I saw it again, only this time the shape was clearer. It looked like a man. I stared, confused. I hadn't heard the stairs creak. No doors had opened. I checked the base cam. Nothing. The top cam? Still and empty. But the middle cam showed the same figure again, walking slowly down the steps, though I hadn't seen him go up in the first place. I bolted from the control room and ran to the stairs, calling out. My voice echoed off the stone, but there was no reply. I climbed halfway up. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling I was being watched. I returned to the monitors and rewound the footage. What I saw still makes my stomach turn. The moment I walked into the stairwell, the figure on the monitor turned, facing the camera directly, no face. Just a blurred void, then started mimicking my movements, step for step, only one floor above me. On the third night, I didn't go back. I told my supervisor there were structural issues and refused the assignment. He didn't argue. Turns out, I wasn't the first to report a second presence in the tower, just the only one who brought back the footage.